right, check it out. Here's the Gigabyte P55-UD3R. This is their mid-range board. It doesn't really support Crossfire or SLI, but it does have a lot of great features, and it does support, obviously, the Core i5 and Core i7 Linfield processors from Intel. So basically, P55, if you haven't realized yet, is a new board, new socket. Socket 1156 is going to support your, at least what's currently out, the Core i7 860 and the Core i5 750. So if you're going to run an 860, it's still going to be a Core i7. It's just as fast as the ones that go on the 1366, pretty much. The only difference is you don't have a QPI, so you have a little bit less PCI Express bandwidth, so you only have X16 going to here, and it uses a direct media interface instead of the QPI, and you don't have the triple channel memory. You have dual channel memory, which again is not really going to make a big performance difference, but everything else is just about the same Nehalem architecture, same amounts of cache and all that good stuff is pretty much the same, just a new socket, so keep all that in mind. Now, this board has a lot of really cool features, and I'll tell you right off the bat, you know, the Gigabyte makes extremely durable boards. You can bend these. They're very strong. It has the Ultra Durable 3, which is basically an overclocking feature. We'll get into that in a little bit later, but it's also a overall quality feature, and we'll talk more about the hardware. Now, continuing on, RAM, memory over here, 4 DIMMs, dual channel, up to 16 gigabytes if you use 4 gigabyte DIMMs, or 8 gigabytes, up to 2200 megahertz frequency. You can do everything in between, 800, 1066, 1333, 1600, 1866, you name it. It's going to do it all. You might have to do some overclocking for some of those higher frequencies, but if you're going to be running 2000 megahertz memory, you know how to do that already anyway, so it's not a big deal. I believe it will do up to 1333 natively, which means you plug it in, it's going to run at 1333. You have, let's talk about a little bit about slots down here. You got quite a few. Now, here you go. You have PCI Express 2.0, X16. You have PCI Express X16, regular, but it's not X16. It only runs at X4. So this is going to be a physics processor or PCI Express anything, because you can use an X1 here too. You have 4 PCI slots, so this would be a great board for a media center or something that has a lot of maybe some cable cards or card TV cable cards. That'd be really useful. You also have 1 PCI Express X1 up here, 2.0, which is also useful. Sound cards, good stuff. Talking about connectivity, we got 6 SATA 2.0 ports right there, and we have an additional 2 right there on the sides. Now, these are separate controllers. So these are the ones you're going to do your eSATA on, and you know, maybe anything for the front panel. And these are the ones that you're going to actually put your operating system and your storage drives on. These do RAID 0, RAID 1, and RAID 5. So you have quite a few options there. Now, moving along to the back panel. Starting off from the bottom over here, you have 8 channels of HD audio. You actually have a very, very nice controller on there. It's the ALC889A, which is a really, really, really high-end onboard audio. You don't really need too much of a sound card with this unless you want to have input functionality, but really good stuff. You got 10-1000 Ethernet. You got 8 USB 2.0 ports. You got dual eSATAs, which is kind of rare. You have SPDIF in both optical and analog coax. You have an additional 2 USB 2.0 ports, bringing the back panel total to 10 and the entire board to 14, because you got 2 more on the board via header, and a PS2, which is the the dual one that does the keyboard and the mouse. So a lot of great features. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the hardware that's on this board. I mentioned it earlier. I want you guys to just get an idea of what happens when you get a Gigabyte board. People buy Gigabyte boards for a couple reasons. Sometimes it's for extreme performance with the high-end models, but the majority of the time people are buying models like this. It's a regular model. It's not meant for crazy overclocking. There's no reset and power buttons. There's none of that stuff. It's a very utility-oriented board, but it's also very reliable. It's got really good hardware. So let's talk about that hardware. Take a look right up in here. These are all Japanese-made solid capacitors. Okay, so those are very nice. All the core chokes throughout the board. So wherever you see a core choke on this board, like over here, all the core chokes are ferrite, which is really nice. You also have lower RDSON MOSFETs. So underneath this cooler right here, you actually have lower RDSON MOSFETs. Those are going to give you cleaner power. Also, the ultra durable that I talked about earlier, pretty much they put about 2 ounces of extra copper into the board. So into the printed circuit board, there's a lot of extra copper in there. You can't really see it, but in there's layers. Extra copper, that's going to lower your impedance. It's also going to increase just the flow of good energy going to your CPU. So you're going to get nice clean power to keep a stable overclock. And a side benefit of it all is that it actually helps alleviate some of the heat that's produced by your CPU and your CPU socket and your graphics cards and all the chips that are on this board. So very, very nice. It's the P55-UD3R mid-range board from Gigabyte. Really, really good stuff. And if you're considering UD3R, UD4P, Basically, if you want Crossfire and SLI and you want dual gigabit LAN, go with the 4P. If not, this is the board for you. Love it. Good stuff. If you have any questions on it, email me, and I'll see you guys next time. For more information on the Gigabyte P55-UD3R socket 1156 motherboard, type in G452-0101 to the search engine of any of these major retailers. For Computer TV, I'm Albert.
Yeah.